Hello and welcome back to the Scott Ballard Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. I'm joined now by Winona State senior Kelsey Andrist. Kelsey, thanks so much for coming on today.
Yeah, no problem.
Want to talk to you a little bit about last weekend, just briefly, game Saturday against Sioux Falls, where you really had a good offensive night, went 7 for 11 from the field. Did you start to feel maybe your stroke coming back and your shot coming back, something that, 17 points, it's a place you haven't reached very often. So did you really feel like you were in a groove?
Yeah, well, it always helps, your first couple shots when you're starting to feel it, and that gives you good confidence for the rest of the game. And just, kind of been frustrated with our past few games, so I just wanted to step up, change things around, and, trying to get a little more consistent on that end of the game as well.
As a shooter, you mentioned you like to see your first couple shots go down. As a shooter, how much does that do for you when you can get a couple shots to go early, whether it's long or even in the lane, and just getting something to go through the hoop? How much does that help you as the game goes on with that confidence?
Oh yeah, it definitely makes you more confident in your next shots. Even if you were to miss the next couple, you still remember those first couple shots that you take, and sticks with you for the rest of the game.
Now you're a coach's kid. Your dad coaches in Wisconsin and at Wisconsin Stout. And so what was it like growing up, having a coach as a dad and then becoming a basketball player yourself? What was it like growing up in a house where I have to assume that basketball was pretty important and talked about a lot?
It was awesome, not gonna lie. I had, I could be in the gym whenever I wanted to, and got to play with a lot of college athletes that, would shoot some hoops with me or, make fun of me. And it was a good atmosphere to grow up in. I appreciate the game of basketball so much for it being a part with me, and just always having my dad there to counsel me and talk to through every facet of the game.
What's the biggest thing you learned from him as a coach that you've been able to use in your career?
I would have to say the biggest thing is never be satisfied. Even as a coach, he's never satisfied with how they're doing, and as a player, you can never be satisfied. There's always something you can always be working on and getting better. Just really being a student of the game, I think.
He obviously has a very busy schedule coaching his team, but he still manages to make it to as many Warrior games as he can. He always has that same spot where he stands in the gym. When he's there and you get to see him watching you play, what does that mean to you?
It means the world. I know how busy he is. Growing up, he's always on the road, and so it's just awesome to see his face in the stands. And likewise, I try to make it to his games as many as possible. It's awesome to see him in action as well.
And his team has played the Winona State men's team the last couple years here in Winona in McCown Gymnasium, and you've gotten to watch that. Is that a little hard for you, seeing your dad on one sideline coaching his team, and then the school that you go to that you play for on the other? Is that a little bit of mixed emotions?
Well, I definitely sport my Stout gear every time, so I'm always cheering for my dad, but I'm just happy to see a good game.
As we go forward now, Minnesota State and Concordia-St. Paul coming in this weekend, a couple really good teams who the Warriors played really, really tough on the road earlier this year. What's the biggest thing that you've been trying to work on in practice this week as a team to come out and compete and get a couple wins this weekend?
Well, as you said, when we played them, they're both close games, and our past couple games this weekend have been close games. So our major thing that we're working on is putting together, that run or those couple defensive stops at the end of the game at pivotal points that we can close the game, be confident, be on top, not try to come from behind.
All right. Well, there'll be 2 good games this weekend. Again, the Warriors against Minnesota State and then Concordia-St. Paul. That's all we have with Kelsey. We'll be back later this week with more from Coach Ballard here on the Scott Ballard Show.